There's something happening inside your home right now that no parenting book fully prepares you for. It is quiet, it is invisible, and it is shaping your child in ways that will follow them for the rest of their life. The most powerful force in your child's development is not a teacher, not a screen, not a friend. It is you. Every single day, without a word, without a lesson, and often without any awareness at all, your child is recording everything you do. The way you speak, the way you react, the way you handle stress, money, food, relationships, and failure. Children are not just listening to what you say. They are downloading who you are. This is not about guilt. This is about awareness. Because the moment you understand what your child is actually absorbing, you gain something powerful, the ability to choose differently. Let's start with something almost every adult does without realizing how deeply it lands on a child. You are stuck in traffic. You are running late. You grip the steering wheel a little tighter, and without even thinking, you mutter something under your breath. Maybe it is a sigh. Maybe it is a sharp word about the driver in front of you. Maybe it is just a visible wave of frustration washing over your face. Your child is sitting in the back seat, and you think they are distracted by their tablet or looking out the window. They are not. They are watching you. They are learning in real time how a person handles things that do not go according to plan. And if what they see, day after day, is someone who becomes tense, irritable, or reactive under minor stress, they will wire themselves to do the same. Not because they are weak, because that is the only map of emotional management they have ever been given. Stress responses are among the most deeply inherited behaviors in families, not genetically, but behaviorally. Children who grow up watching adults manage discomfort by shutting down, snapping at others, or escaping into phones or alcohol or busyness are statistically far more likely to develop those same coping patterns by adolescence. The body learns before the mind does. And a child's nervous system is extraordinarily sensitive to the emotional climate of the people it depends on for survival. Now here is where this gets personal. Think about the last time you were on your phone during a conversation with your child. Not a long session, just a quick check, a glance, a scroll. It felt harmless, right? Almost nothing. But your child did not experience it as nothing. What they experienced in the language their brain speaks was this: something else matters more than me right now. When that moment happens occasionally, it creates no real damage. Children are resilient, but when it happens repeatedly, dozens of times a day, across hundreds of days, it teaches them something they will carry into every future relationship, that they are not quite worth someone's full presence. And from that quiet belief grows anxiety, people-pleasing, difficulty with intimacy, and a hunger for validation that no amount of external approval can ever fully satisfy. This is not an accusation. It is a pattern, and patterns can be interrupted. Here is another one that almost nobody talks about. The way you talk about your own body. You are standing in front of a mirror and you say something you would never say to another human being. You call yourself fat. You pinch something and make a face. You refuse to eat something you clearly want, and when your child asks why, you say something like, "I am trying to be good." Or you step on a scale and your mood visibly shifts based on the number you see. Your daughter is watching. Your son is watching. And what they are internalizing is not a lesson about health. They are learning that bodies are things to be managed, controlled, criticized, and judged. They are learning that worth is tied to appearance. They are learning that food is moral, that desire is dangerous, and that self-punishment is discipline. Eating disorders, distorted body image, and complicated relationships with food are among the most common mental health struggles in young people today, and research consistently points back to the home environment as one of the most significant contributing factors. Not the media alone, not social pressure alone, the home, the dinner table, the offhand comments, the visible self-criticism of the adults in the room. Your child does not need you to be perfect. They need you to be human in a way that shows them how to treat themselves with basic kindness. Let us move into something even more subtle. How do you respond when you are wrong? When you make a mistake in front of your child, what happens next? Do you acknowledge it clearly and move on? Or do you minimize it, deflect blame, or simply act as if it never happened? Children notice this. They are always watching how the adults around them handle being wrong, and when they watch someone they admire refuse to apologize, avoid accountability, or pretend a mistake did not occur, they take note. Not consciously, but it goes in, and over time, they develop the same defense, the same inability to sit with imperfection, the same instinct to protect the ego at the cost of honest connection. On the other hand, a parent who can look at a child and say, "I handled that badly, I am sorry, I am going to try a different way next time," is giving that child something extraordinary. They are modeling accountability without shame. They are showing that being wrong does not make you unworthy. They are teaching the single most important social and emotional skill a human being can have: the ability to repair. Children who grow up in homes where repair is normal become adults who can navigate conflict, maintain relationships, and recover from failure. Children who grow up in homes where no one ever apologizes become adults who either cannot admit fault or who collapse entirely when they are wrong, because no one ever showed them that you can be imperfect and still be okay. Now let us talk about what happens when adults argue. Every couple disagrees. Every household has tension. That is normal, and children do not need to be shielded from the reality that people sometimes conflict. What matters enormously, however, is what they witness in the aftermath. Do the adults in the home repair? Do they demonstrate that love is larger than a fight? Or does the tension linger for days, unaddressed, filling the house with silence and coldness that no one names but everyone feels? Children raised in environments of unresolved conflict learn to associate intimacy with danger. They learn that love is conditional on mood. They learn to walk on eggshells, to read rooms before entering them, to shrink themselves in order to not cause more trouble. They become hypervigilant, anxious, and often spend their entire adult lives either recreating that same volatile dynamic because it feels familiar, or running so far from any conflict that they become unable to sustain close relationships at all. But here is what is also true. Children who witness adults argue and then come back together with warmth, with humor, with visible forgiveness, learn something beautiful. They learn that conflict is survivable, that relationships are worth the discomfort of working things out, that love is not fragile. That is one of the most protective things a child can carry into adult life. Let us talk about money, because almost no one thinks about this one. How did money feel in your childhood home? Was it something discussed openly or whispered about with anxiety? Was it something that caused fights behind closed doors? Something that seemed to arrive and disappear in mysterious and stressful ways? Now think about your own home today. What is the emotional weather around finances in your house? Children pick up the anxiety around money long before they understand what money actually is. If every mention of a bill, a purchase, a financial decision comes wrapped in stress, secrecy, or shame, children begin to associate money with fear and danger. They grow up believing that financial stability is always one step away from collapse. They become either hypervigilant about spending, or they develop an impulse to spend recklessly as a way of escaping the scarcity mindset they absorbed. Neither extreme serves them. What helps is not pretending that finances are always comfortable. What helps is normalizing honest, calm conversations about money. Letting children see that budgets are tools, not punishments. That financial difficulty is something to face, not to hide from or to catastrophize. That adults can talk about money with clarity and even creativity rather than shame or panic. And then there is the thing that almost no parent wants to examine: the way you talk about other people when those people are not in the room. The neighbor you cannot stand, the coworker who drives you crazy, the family member you have complicated feelings about. Children absorb the tone of those conversations, and what they learn, slowly and powerfully, is how to relate to other human beings. They learn whether difference is something to be curious about or something to judge. They learn whether people are generally trustworthy or generally suspicious. They learn whether compassion is extended easily or conditionally. A parent who speaks about others with consistent contempt raises children who struggle to see the humanity in people who are difficult or different. A parent who can say, "I disagree with how they handled that, and I still understand they were doing their best," or "that person frustrates me, and I genuinely wonder what is going on for them," raises children with the capacity for nuance, for empathy, for the kind of mature perspective that makes them capable of navigating a complicated world. You do not have to be positive about everyone. You do not have to pretend people have not hurt you. You just have to let your child see that complexity is possible, that a person can be difficult and still be human. Here is the hardest truth and the most important one. You cannot give your child what you have not given yourself. If you are running on fumes, if you are managing anxiety with avoidance, if you are carrying unprocessed grief or anger or shame, if you have never learned to sit quietly without reaching for a distraction, your child will inherit those patterns no matter how many things you do right on the surface. The most radical act of parenting is not a technique or a strategy. It is the ongoing, uncomfortable, deeply human work of becoming someone you are genuinely proud of, not perfect. Not performing, not managing the appearance of togetherness while quietly falling apart, but actually imperfectly, honestly working on yourself, because your child is not watching the version of you that you wish you were. They are watching the real you, the one who shows up at 7 in the morning before the coffee has kicked in, the one who gets a difficult email and has to decide in real time how to respond, the one who is tired and still chooses presence. The one who is scared and still chooses honesty. That person, the real one, is the most powerful teacher your child will ever have. What you model matters infinitely more than what you say. And the extraordinary thing is that it is never too late to begin. Not because the past can be erased, but because children are deeply attuned to change. When a parent begins to shift, genuinely and visibly, children feel it. They begin to update their internal map. They learn that people can grow, that habits are not destiny, that it is possible to recognize a pattern and choose differently. That lesson, the one that says we are not stuck, we are not defined by what was handed to us, we have agency over who we become. That lesson may be the most important thing you ever teach them, and you do not teach it with words. You teach it by living it.